Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, my friends. My name is Dieter Vanschura, and I'm the owner and manager of the Artelino company. What's the Artelino company? Well, we've sold mainly Japanese prints in weekly online auctions since 2001. Let me repeat that. Since 2001. And we are now in the year 2024. So Artelino by now is already 23 years old. But that's not today's subject. Today I want to talk about one of the most successful and appreciated ukiyo-e designers and printmakers. His name is Kunisada Utagawa. Let me show an image. Well, it's not a photograph, but it's also a woodblock print made by one of his pupils, by Kunisada II. And at lifetime, Kunisada was considered to be better than Hiroshige or Kuniyoshi. Kunisada was born near Edo. Edo is the old name for today's Tokyo, in 1786. It was roughly the time of the French Revolution. And he was born, you can say, with a silver spoon in his mouth, because his father was an affluent merchant and he had a ferryboat license. Well, a ferryboat license, that was a license to make big money in those times, because it was automatically inherited from one generation to another. Anyway, let's now back to the printmaker, Kunisada Utagawa. When he was 15 years old, he joined the Utagawa school, and at that time, the head of the Utagawa school was Toyokuni Utagawa. What's the Utagawa school? It has nothing to do with the school, how we imagine it today. It was basically a commercial print shop, nothing else. And the head of such a school could earn quite some money, provided this print shop was successful. And it was also a print shop not only for single prints, but also for books, because the way at that time books were made in Japan is precisely the same technical process like making a woodblock print. Let's continue with our artist, Kunisada. In 1807, he produced his first illustrated book. And 1 year later, 1808, he produced his first single actor prints. Actor prints, the kabuki theater. That was the big business in those days. And the Utagawa school had focused just on this market section. Kunisada, as a printmaker to print designer, he was successful from the very beginning, which probably was not that good for his character, because he was considered as rather arrogant and rather conceited. In 1825, the head of the Utagawa school, Toyokuni I, died. And then Kunisada, well, he considered himself the greatest print designer, so he was convinced he had the right to become the new head of the Utagawa school. But it came different. There was another guy, another printmaker. He may not have been the best or not better than Kunisada. His name was Toyoshige, and he was appointed the new head. Why? Well, he had married Toyokuni's daughter. So Kunisada was outraged. He was really hot. And the conflict was solved only 10 years later. That was in 1835, when finally Toyoshige had died. And then Kunisada finally became the new head of the Utagawa school. And now, my dear friends, we have a little bit of a name mess. Well, you must know the old ukiyo-e artists, ukiyo-e designers, they frequently changed their names, just to confuse today's collectors, art historians, and so on. The mass is the following. We have Toyokuni the first, the master and teacher of Kunisada. And we have Toyoshige, who also then called himself Toyokuni, and the same with Kunisada. So today's literature, in order to resolve this mess a little bit, calls the original Toyokuni, who had died in 1835, Toyokuni the first, and Toyoshige, who followed him for 10 years, is called Toyokuni the second, and finally Kunisada. You either call him Kunisada Utagawa, what we do, or if you want to use the name Toyokuni, then he is Toyokuni the third, my friends. Now I want to talk a little bit about Kunisada's prints, about his artworks, and I want to reveal a little bit of a secret that you may not yet be aware of it. To date, art historians estimate that there are roughly 20,000 different designs by Kunisada. I repeat, 20,000 different designs. Could he have made them all by himself? From the beginning until the end, making the design and then carving all these blocks? One block for each different color, and afterwards printing them themselves? It's impossible, yeah. And it was not like it was really done. These artworks, to a large part, were done by the artisans employed by the Utagawa school and also by a lot of apprentices, yeah. A master like Kunisada certainly made the design, and he may have touched and loosely supervised the whole process, but he certainly did not do that himself, in the idea as we in Europe have this romantic idea of an artist being driven by his genius and who must do everything himself. And also, my friends, in Europe, it has never been like that. Great painters, for instance, like Rubens or Dürer, once they were famous, they had their own shops full of apprentices, and they made a lot of the works. Certainly the master may have made the design, yeah, the first design, and may have made the last touch, and certainly may have supervised the whole process. But forget about the idea of a Japanese ukiyo-e printmaker like Kunisada having done everything by himself. That's not the case. Kunisada Utagawa was also quite active as a teacher. Of course, he was the head of the Utagawa school, had a lot of apprentices, a lot of pupils, a lot of students. And out of these pupils, several also became famous after the death of Kunisada. I want to mention just two names which collectors know. One is Konichika and the other one Chikanobu Toyohara, two printmakers typical for the Meiji period, which came after the Edo, the Japanese Edo period. Kunisada died in 1865, which was practically the end of the Edo period. And now let's change the subject a little bit. I also want to give you a few tips as a collector. You are the collector. I'm also kind of a collector and a merchant. And I already mentioned that art historians and experts estimate the total number of designs by Kunisada as roughly 20,000. As a collector, Kunisada are most probably the most frequent prints that you will find from the 19th century in the market for Japanese ukiyo-e. And the quality of these prints have a wide range, and the market prices reflect this rather wide range. What do I mean by wide range? Well, there are prints who in quality are, let's call them average. Good, fine, okay, but just average. Prints made in masses for the kabuki theaters. And then there are some which are really outstanding, also from our today's more aesthetic view. And these outstanding prints, they can be quite expensive. An average Kunisada print, let's say, you get for $200 upwards. An outstanding print, at least close to 1,000. Also a low four-digit number for an outstanding Kunisada prints is not unusual. And most of the best prints, like this, as a beginner you can recognize that a little bit, they come from a series designed by Kunisada. The good availability of Kunisada prints, especially those that we can rank as average, is also represented in our archive of sold Japanese prints. And I want to give you a few numbers. I want to compare Kunisada Utagawa with Hiroshige the first, Hiroshige the great landscape artist, and Kuniyoshi a kind of a rival and a contemporary to Kunisada. In our archive you will find roughly 2,500 sold prints by Kunisada Utagawa. In comparison, by Hiroshige, roughly the same number, 2,400, but by Kuniyoshi, only 600. That means Kuniyoshi are not that easy to find in the market as Kunisada. Okay, to finish this video, I also want to give you a few tips how you can get more information about Kunisada. I think artelino is quite a good source about that, my opinion. We have something which we are not only an online art auction, we have something which we called here a section education, and there's a lot of information resources, especially databases. And among others, there are roughly, I think, 2,500 articles about art, but most, 80%, about Japanese prints. So let's go there. And let's search for Kunisada. Let's see. Kunisada. There you find a bunch, my God, of articles that are somehow related to Kunisada. Of course, might also be an article about a pupil of Kunisada, but you will find also a lot of articles that describe especially the famous series by Kunisada. And last but not least, my friends, of course, please take a look at our weekly online auction catalogs. Usually in each auction we offer more than 100, sometimes up to 180 prints in one auction, and usually nearly always we offer Kunisada prints in that range from average to very exceptional. That means not so expensive to very expensive. Okay, thanks for today. Thanks for watching, and have a good week. Yeah, goodbye.